violent ambush, a terrifying plan that took months to prepare, a brutal killing that shocked a community and exposed a dark world of betrayal and organized crime. This is the full, disturbing story of Thomas Campbell and the chilling details that unfolded in court. Thomas Campbell, 38 years old, wasn't a stranger to the criminal world. A former drugs gang enforcer from Greater Manchester, Thomas had built a reputation that demanded respect and fear. 2019. He had been jailed for playing a significant role in an organized crime network dealing in high volumes of drugs across the UK. Upon his release, Thomas tried to lead a quieter life, or so it seemed. He was living in Mossley, Greater Manchester. But beneath the surface, old rivalries, grudges, and dangerous secrets were brewing. Police believed that although Thomas wasn't flaunting his past connections, he hadn't completely left that life behind. And for some, Thomas Campbell was still a target worth pursuing. Months before his death, a plan had been forming. John Belfield, a known criminal figure in Manchester, wanted Thomas Campbell out of the picture. Belfield's motive? Money, drugs, and the belief that Campbell had access to both. Belfield's operation wasn't a simple hit job. It was carefully coordinated surveillance, aided by technology, insider information, and betrayal from someone Thomas had once trusted most: his ex-wife, Coleen Campbell. Court documents revealed that Belfield and Coleen Campbell exchanged dozens of encrypted messages via EncroChat, discussing Thomas's routines, his security systems, and even when he would be most vulnerable. They also used small tracking devices, planted covertly, to monitor Thomas's movements day and night. 2nd July 2022. Thomas Campbell returned to his house after visiting the gym. It was around 11 p.m. Unbeknownst to him, 3 masked attackers were already waiting. As soon as Thomas opened his front door, they ambushed him. What followed was 2 hours of extreme, calculated violence. Thomas was beaten, tied up, and tortured. He suffered more than 60 separate injuries. His attackers weren't just trying to hurt him, they wanted information. They demanded to know where drugs, money, and valuables were hidden. At some point during the assault, Thomas tried to escape. Forensic evidence suggested he made it as far as the stairwell before being dragged back and attacked further. The level of violence was shocking even to veteran detectives. Thomas eventually succumbed to his injuries and was left lying at the bottom of the stairs, alone. The next morning, a neighbor spotted Thomas's front door left wide open. Alarmed, they contacted the police. When officers arrived, they were confronted with a grisly scene. Blood stains throughout the house, furniture overturned, signs of a violent struggle everywhere. Thomas's body was found at the bottom of the stairs. Forensics revealed that his injuries were consistent with prolonged torture and beatings using fists, feet, and possibly weapons. Police immediately launched a full-scale investigation, believing from the outset that this was a premeditated, targeted killing. Detectives acted fast. CCTV footage showed suspicious vehicles outside Thomas's home on the night of the murder. More damning was the mobile phone data. Investigators uncovered communications between Coleen Campbell and John Belfield. Coleen had helped track Thomas's movements and even supplied crucial details about his home security. Coleen was arrested and charged. In interviews, she denied knowing that Thomas would be harmed, but the evidence painted a different picture. Surveillance footage even showed her walking past Thomas's home days before the murder, keeping watch. Meanwhile, John Belfield, the alleged mastermind, had fled. Authorities issued an international manhunt for Belfield, believing he had crossed into Europe, possibly Spain. 2 other men were also charged in connection with the murder: Stephen Belfield and Carl Murphy. Both were said to have played roles in the setup and surveillance phases. 22nd February 2023. The sentencing marked the end of a long and painstaking investigation into the brutal murder of Thomas Campbell. After Thomas's death in July 2022, detectives from Greater Manchester Police's Major Incident Team launched a tireless search for the truth. Over the course of the investigation, they combed through hundreds of hours of CCTV footage, collected nearly 3,000 exhibits, interviewed over 200 witnesses, and made 19 arrests. all in the pursuit of justice for Thomas's devastated family. What emerged from their investigation was a chilling conspiracy, a meticulously planned murder, orchestrated by people who knew Thomas well. Central to the plot was Coleen Campbell, Thomas's ex-wife. Investigators discovered that Coleen had been recruited by the attackers to track Thomas's daily routine. She provided real-time updates on his whereabouts, sending messages and making calls that allowed the group to monitor his every move. According to Coleen's testimony, she believed the plan was to rob Thomas, targeting his valuable possessions, specifically 2 Rolex watches, which have never been recovered. But it quickly became clear that the intentions went far beyond theft. Detectives found evidence of a GPS tracker attached to Thomas's van. Chillingly, CCTV footage captured the group openly discussing how to attach the tracker just hours before it was deployed and the moment they installed it. On the night of the 2nd of July 2022, the attackers lay in wait. As Thomas returned home and opened his front door, he was ambushed. Overpowered and dragged back inside, Thomas endured a horrific assault. Inside his own home, he was tortured and brutally murdered. A post-mortem examination revealed he had suffered more than 61 separate injuries, a level of violence that shocked even seasoned investigators. Reese Steve, 29, was found guilty of murder with conspiracy to rob and was sentenced to life in prison. Stephen Cleworth, 38, has been found guilty of manslaughter with conspiracy to rob and was sentenced to a minimum of 12 years. Finally, Coleen Campbell, 38, was found guilty of manslaughter with conspiracy to rob and was sentenced to 13 years with 2/3 being custodial. John Belfield was on the run and was arrested in March of 2024. He was deported back from South America. A trial date was set for June 2025. Detective Inspector Mark Davis of GMP's Major Incident Team said, "The thoughts of the investigation team remain with Thomas's family as they continue to come to terms with their loss. This was a despicable and incredibly violent attack that was fueled by the pure anger and aggression of those involved, and which tragically cost Thomas his life. No length of sentence given today will bring Thomas back, and his family are left to grieve his loss. Those sentenced now face a long time behind bars, and I hope they will use this time to reflect upon the hurt they have inflicted on his family. Even though 3 people have now been jailed for their involvement in this case, our work does not stop here, and the investigation team will keep pushing for justice until all of those responsible are brought to justice."